Welcome back to the Opportunistic Trader. It is 10 o'clock, and I'm lucky enough today to be joined by Tony Greer, our equity expert, who comes to us a couple of times a week, talking his positions, fundamental analysis on the market, and technical analysis as well, and always has great insights. So welcome, Tony.
Hey, thanks, Larry. That's a really nice introduction. I can't thank you enough for that.
It's no problem. That's from what I see, that's how I feel. So I just wanted to go over with you, to start out, just busy morning this morning. Broad market down a bit, NASDAQ underperforming slightly, and I just wanted to go through your general thoughts on the market and then go from there about positioning and thoughts.
Sure, Larry. Well, I did a lot of homework over the weekend. I put together my August technical report, and that's where I sort of, look at the actual performance of all the sectors, the subsectors, and everything, on a monthly basis and take a snapshot. And when I see the resumption of a big tech rally followed by small cap and micro cap stocks, that's a little bit of a signal to me that, that the bull market wants to get back on a run again, right? So the small caps have taken the lead. We've got micro caps right behind them, technology leading. It's interesting. There are two interesting dynamics to me right now. There's a strong dollar game that's putting the emerging markets in the hurt bracket. And then there is the sort of tech game that still wants to lead the market. So as we were just chatting about before, FANG, which has been a big leader, it got slightly derailed with Facebook facing the Cambridge Analytica fallout. And now it looks like sort of like one by one, the dominoes are slowing down in terms of Facebook rally has been derailed. Google is now on the president's radar screen, and that's had two very serious down days in a row. It's starting to test some meaningful support in the 50-day moving average. But you've got Amazon and Apple that just want to also run. It seems like there's nothing standing in the way of Amazon and Apple now, and the other FANG members are sort of sorting themselves out. So I think that if FANG goes sideways, it may maybe drag on the bull market a little bit, but it feels like technically speaking, we want to advance above 2,800.
Yeah. It looks interesting to me just looking at it from the outside, and I'm not, I trade a little bit in the FANG names because they're very good day traders, obviously. It's just interesting. It just seems like an allocation trade, from, just buying two or three names inside the five or six names. And they can't buy. I don't know if it's they don't have enough capital or they're too long certain names, but they're maneuvering in and out of these names on a daily basis. And then, looking, at the other stock that I guess is the high flyer. I don't know if you have an opinion on Tesla, breaking down here at the 295 level. I know you've discussed it before inside the chat and on your webinars. So I didn't know if you had a thought or position in Tesla at this point.
I have nothing on in Tesla. I'm kind of just, I'm kind of on the sidelines and literally spectating with a large popcorn in Tesla. I feel like I had to do my job as somebody with, nearly 30 years of experience in the market and warn my clients and readers that I think that if you're long Tesla at this price under these conditions, you're making an absolutely outrageous risk bet. Given everything that we know between the the high level CEOs leaving, all of their problems making production targets, Elon Musk going publicly crazy on Twitter, that's just too risky for me to be in that name. And when I can think of 1,000 stocks that I'd rather invest in, I just stay away from the one that everybody in the world is talking about, Larry,
No, I think you're smart. I'm a little angry at myself because we were short up in the area after he made those comments, and it was literally such a hard short, and we made a little on it, but we were early, and then we just had headline risk, and it was frustrating to watch it down in this level. But as well, I don't have a position, but I do like to watch it every day, and I think it's interesting. So as far as as that goes, I think we've covered, the FANG. And, my next thought is just trying to figure out what you're thinking position wise, what you have on, and, what your general market thoughts are, as far
Yeah,
as.
I tell you, I still, I mean, it's hard for me because I'm a commodity guy, so it's hard for me to suppress my bullishness in the energy space right now. I've been bullish oil from the bottom. I've been riding this trend the entire way up. I have not wavered at all on my oil bullishness. I've been picking a couple of names in equities that I think best have been following along with the oil trend. And so my favorites in EMP have been Conoco and Occidental, COP and Oxy, OXY. I'm still long them. I remain long. I'm looking to add to Oxy on this dip. I think that the oil market's in great shape. When I see the Brent WTI spread back all the way off into support around 350, and then literally rallied to $7.5, $8 in a couple of days. Now last sale 870. That tells me that something clearly is going on. I think that Brent is taking the lead again because Iraq is threatening the Strait of Hormuz. And the oil market really isn't that long. So the path of least resistance under these conditions is certainly higher. And when you give oil traders, a 4.2% GDP print in their back pocket, you give them a lot of power to push the oil market higher. So, even though energy stocks are doing very little today, if I had to make a bet towards the end of the year, I'm still going to bet that that energy stocks have got upside. I can't really chase the tech stocks up here. And so if I'm looking for a play into the end of the year, I'm going to pick the right names. I'm going to look at the refiners and stay in the energy stocks. And as you know, I'm a big fan of the cannabis stocks. And while they are having another big day today, on my trading position, I would consider taking some profits because it's an unbelievable run in stocks like Canopy Growth and Tilray. But at the same time, I've been saying, Larry, that, you're going to peel these cannabis stocks from my dying corpse one day when all the plain vanillas are coming after them at a price that's 5 or 10 times the prices that you see on the screen now. And I really believe that.
No, that's interesting. I've followed it a bit, and my question to you on that is, do you think that there's too many stocks in the space, and it's almost like a crypto scenario where, at the end of the day, there'll be 5 or 10 of these because, where I live in Boca, people are coming up to me and bringing companies public in Canada is kind of like how the stocks were in 1999 in the internet. Before that blew up, everybody's taking companies public, and they're not doing it in the U.S. and they're all printing in Canada. And I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that as far as just the wide spectrum of stocks out there, and just how many there are.
Yeah, Larry, it does. I've been saying that the cannabis revolution feels very much like 1995, like the internet revolution, when all of a sudden, we could order stuff online and have it sent to our door. So that does feel similar. And like you said, it's definitely the case whereby there are a lot more names out there tradable than will be, names that exist 20 years from now. You know what I mean? Like you and I probably traded a couple of internet stocks from 10 to 100 that are no longer listed.
Yeah.
And I would imagine there will absolutely be a number of cannabis producers that follow that same path, and just don't have, wind up not getting the right financing and fall on their face or something like that. But I remain bullish as, a two-pronged revolution, because I think the legalization on a recreational side is going to open up one side of the market and disrupt one market in the U.S., that being, probably the beverage market and likely the farming market. But also, the whole emerging healthcare benefit of cannabis that really we haven't even gotten near measuring that market yet. It's a drug that's been a Schedule 1 drug, and I think I spoke about this on the show last time, but being a Schedule 1 drug that prevents the U.S. from putting serious money into researching it, and therefore all of the wellness benefits of cannabis are kind of tucked inside, the minds and bodies of the users that are using it receiving the benefit and telling the world about it. And then it just becomes a word of mouth thing until people have to try, to try cannabis to relieve pain, to get to lessen seizures. It's used all across the medical industry. And I think that's the other industry that it's going to upset. So I do understand that, it trades like bubbly. It looks bubbly. The stocks are going up at crazy, crazy levels. But I feel like that's an expression of the unknown and the unknown of the sheer size of this market. And the fact of the matter is, Larry, is that it's a risky trade. And I think you've got more risk being short this one than long this one at this point in time.
I think you're probably right. It's just a matter, if you're going to short, you got to just pick the right ones, or the ones that are fundamentally not as sound, because the other ones will take over for sure.
And Larry, my plan with that is to absolutely short the ones that don't work, because those were some of my best trades from, the internet era, because sometimes, as you know, Larry, the writing's on the wall and you start to read the negative headlines in a name and you start feeling like, it's not going to work for this stock. And then you'll see it curl over, and then you've got a technical reason to short it as well. And then you say, okay, this is the one that's not going to make it. So I think my eyes are wide open for those opportunities. But I think that actually the market's shining some light on the stocks that are going to be the survivors. With Constellation putting this much money behind Canopy, it's pretty clear that they're going to be, they're going to have a lot of capital to explore and expand on this industry. So I don't want to bet against them. The whole world is coming after Tilray now as, the NASDAQ listing of the whole revolution. And, the stock has tripled in, 3 months. So, you can't buy that one here, but you can sure look for a dip, when things get dicey. And, I have to say that I'm just absolutely, I'm excited to wake up every day with a new market out there that there is absolutely no expert on whatsoever, rather an emerging set of experts. And that's kind of like that's the arena that I think that you can find a lot of success as a day trader.
Yeah, for sure. And in these arenas, 1 or 2 years experience puts you in as an expert, sort of like crypto. We have a crypto room, and we have some really good experts in there, but their experience is 2-3 years. So, the whole space is 7 years old, and this space is, I guess, obviously very new. And, you probably have a great handle relative to everyone else on the space. So I respect it. And, I'll be looking to follow you on your ideas and positions.
I'm trying to become a little bit of, an expert in the space myself. I've attached myself rather conveniently to Todd Harrison, who is one of the clear experts in the space. He's on Twitter. He runs a cannabis fund, and, he is out there on Twitter, literally carrying the flag for the space every day. And it's a very honest approach to this market, which I really appreciate. He's not trying to trick anybody. We're not trying to lure anybody. We're not trying to tell anybody or sell anybody on the cannabis market. We're just talking about the things that we see that mirror the revolution that went on, in the internet in 1995. And there were a lot of successful trades and investments to be made then. And we're just trying to apply the same focus with 20 more years of experience and be in the right names now. So it's really not as much of a push on other people as it is something we believe in and something that we're searching for the answers ourselves. And I think with a network as tight as we have and as advanced as we have and as deep as we have in the cannabis market, we're going to get to some of those investments quicker than the other guy. That's what I'm betting.
Oh, without a doubt. And it's also in the infancy. So you have the ability to find a lot of great ideas. And, listen, it's the way you always look at it is it's all a trade anyway. So the bottom line is you want to be early to the trade, and hopefully you can double or triple your money and move on to the next. And,
right.
One question on that, people always approach me to invest in CBD, and I don't know if you have a handle on that or where that's going, but I'd be interested to know your thoughts on that arena. And if there are opportunities there.
In terms of CBD, you're talking cannabinoids, basically, right? Cannabis oil, right? So, because if you're talking about, what extracts you get from the marijuana and hemp plants, you get CBD and THC, right? the CBD portion of the equation biologically is something that your body was built to receive. Right, Larry? That's something that I learned that was kind of interesting to me. Your body, CB1, while it's the name of Todd's fund, it is also the name of the cannabinoid receptors in your body. Right. So in 1937, when the pharmaceutical industry, decided they had to ban cannabis and move it up to a government level and have it made illegal, I think that they probably realized that there was an actual need within the human body for these enzymes. So I think it's important to know that we're going to undo 90 years of, medical and political propaganda that's been telling us that it's a gateway drug to horrible things. And we're going to start learning that as the human body consumes cannabinoids, they attach to the natural receptors in your body, and it helps your entire immune system, nervous system, etc. So as these sort of, that's the ham and egger explanation by me, the kid from Long Island. But my point is that as that sort of gets formalized and the medical profession starts attaching itself to the benefits of it, then I think that it becomes a real dogfight for who becomes the leader in the healthcare space related to cannabinoids, if that's clear. Does that explanation make sense, Larry?
Yeah, for sure. I just don't know really much about that product. I've actually, people are very involved in that end, of the business, and, many investments are now coming my way, and I just didn't know, obviously, the space that well and exactly how investable it is or how to invest in it. But I mean,
we're going to get to know it together. That's for sure.
For sure. I think there's opportunity there. I appreciate it. Any other, I know you wanted to talk on Nike. So I wanted to know your thoughts and what your position will be there, and how our members could capitalize on your thoughts on Nike.
Well, I think, obviously the stock is going to be an absolute, battleground for the rest of this week, right? It's set back because they've chosen Colin Kaepernick as as their sponsor for their Just Do It ad, right? So they are making a clear step away from sports, away from athleticism, away from just do it, meaning just go out there and get the workout. Right? That's what Just Do It always meant, with Bo Jackson in the shoulder pads and the baseball bat across his shoulders. Just go out and play sports. That's what it meant with Serena Williams. That's what it meant with LeBron James, right? We are witnessing the greatness of LeBron James. Like the guy or hate the guy, it was always about being a sportsman. Now they've chosen a non-athlete. Colin Kaepernick is never going to take another snap in the NFL. He was made famous for protesting against police, injustices, which, he has the total right to do. And I respect his right to do that. I just happen to also think that that was a terrible business decision, because nobody in the San Francisco 49ers wanted him to do that. Nobody in the NFL wants that attention. Nobody in the NFL wants to be battling President Trump. And I'm sure that he's going to come out with a comment about Nike that's probably going to set the stock back even further than it is now. Because in my opinion, once you step into the arena of being a political operative, I think it turns people off. I think it turns investors off. And I don't think that it's an issue about racism or anything like that. People don't like Colin Kaepernick. They're going to shy away from buying Nike stuff that's got his face close to it. And I think that it's a disastrous decision made by the company. I'm scaling into a short position by the close today. I've got a third of it on. I'm looking to put out another third, and then another third on the closing bell. And that's the case. I think that it's just set up for the right risk reward to try to play the downside in Nike. When I did my end of month report, Nike was one of the high flyers. It's gone from 50 to 85. It's a really big stretch away from its 200-day moving average right now, which it hasn't seen in literally months. And I'd be really willing to take a shot from it on the downside. Below the moving averages, I would start pouncing like a gorilla.
My question on that is, why do you think Nike did it? And a better question before you answer that is, the stock is up from 55 to, the 80 handle. Maybe they didn't really care because, the stock has almost doubled. So do you have any thoughts on that? Like, A, why they would make that call? I mean, it's obviously a statement call. And then B, do you think, with a languishing stock price, they would have the ability to make that call? So those are my two questions.
Yeah, that's right. They're free. They're absolutely free to do whatever they want. I'm going to do a little bit of research into their CEO, Mark Parker's background, and to see what he's built like and see how he's wired. Because if Nike starts turning into a Starbucks type of endeavor, then they probably have a problem. I understand that it is an absolutely, if you put a gun to my head and said, what's the most indestructible Teflon brand out there? My answer would be Nike. You know what I mean? Like, you'd have me dead to rights and I'd say, it's got to be Nike. My closet's full of it. And I would buy more, and the Colin Kaepernick thing, the truth is, it's probably not going to stop me from buying Nike forever. But I can tell you, I'm probably not going to go running into the store anytime soon until I see how this gets resolved. So, yeah, Nike knows that they've got the political power. They've got room and reason to try to make a statement like this. And I've got a feeling that when I do my homework into Mark Parker's background or this chief operating officer, Eric Sprunk's background, that I'm probably going to find somebody that is, left-leaning, very liberal, and wants to use the Nike platform as a place to make a statement. This is not about selling sneakers. If they wanted to sell more sneakers, they'd sign, the hottest guy in the NBA or the next hottest NFL football draft. They're signing a guy that's not going to play sports anymore. So, they're trying to make a reverting statement back on to saying, oh, well, he was the classic, just do it. But the point is, he was kneeling. He wasn't even a starting quarterback. So he wasn't really risking anything. You know what I mean? So, like, this whole thing is just a political football now. And I just don't think that it's going to bode well for the stock. And the stock is telling us right now that it wants to test lower levels. And I don't see how it, I think it could pull back to $70.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right. I think the stock, has run, and then adding this to the equation could put a damper on future earnings. It's funny when you say never play. One of my sons lives in Manhattan, and he works out at Chelsea Pier, and next to him working out a couple of weeks ago was Kaepernick. So I don't know if he thinks he's done, because he's in there working out every day. So maybe he's thinking in the back of his mind, maybe he gets another shot. I don't see it. But
no, I think he's working out for playoff. I think he's working out for pickup hoops, Larry. The guy's not going to take another snap. He's not going to take another snap as long as he lives.
I know. Think about how good he was for those couple of seasons. Unbelievable.
He had a quick run, but he was 1-10 in his last season. He got cut by 3 NFL teams. That does not, that if he was an outstanding quarterback and still an elite athlete, he would be on a roster. NFL teams are 3 quarterbacks deep.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm in your camp on that. I just was, when you said that, I was laughing because my son did call me up and he's like, Kaepernick's in here working out like crazy. I'm like,
oh, that's classic.
So we had a little inside information on that, but I don't think it'll lead to anything. But as far as wrapping it up, any thoughts on anything else that stands out to you? Any positions you may want to discuss, or anything else before we wrap it up?
Well, I think we covered all of my favorites, Larry. We really have, that's really it. If I was going to wrap it up, I would just say I really want to try to lean long energy and short emerging market. Lean long energy in cannabis and short emerging markets for the next, short emerging markets and Nike for the next several weeks.
That sounds good. It's interesting. We have Mark Fisher that comes on a couple of times a week. And Mark, it was funny, he gets in rare form, and on Friday he was in rare form, and his trade was long XLE or long energy and short S&P. So that's
good company, long energy. Then I like to hear that.
Yeah. So it's interesting how you're thinking as well. But, I appreciate the conversation and the look, and we'll be back to you later in the week, and we'll continue our conversation. I really appreciate it, Tony. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I look forward to talking about how these pan out. Then we really got something to talk about, right?
For sure. I'm definitely going to look to put a short on in Nike for a trade, and other than that, cannabis is too risky. I don't know enough. I'm going to still learn from you, but Nike, I feel like I know pretty well. So
Cannabis, Larry, we're going to be patient and we're going to get another entry point. And when I see an entry point that I think a first investor can make into this market on a dislocation or on a headline, I will be pounding the table on it.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'll be looking for that call as well. And as always, I appreciate you coming on, and we'll speak later in the week.
Yep, sounds good, Larry. Take care, man.
Have a great day. Enjoy.
You too, pal.
Good luck. Bye-bye.
Yep.